Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Armineh Keshishian of Evolution Dance Theater. Armineh, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Grace.
Super excited to have you on and have you back on. And what I wanted to do was just read a little bit more about Armineh so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Armineh is the president and artistic director of Evolution Dance Theater, which has created and produced a number of multidisciplinary dance theater productions. Armineh has incorporated her creative skills with her financial knowledge and entrepreneurial discipline and committed herself as the visionary behind these productions since 2006. She says, I strive to create cultural fusion through art. I am inspired by concepts of women empowerment, diversity, multiculturalism, and breaking down archetypal traditions. And my aim is to bring people and cultures together by focusing on our commonalities versus our differences. And you can definitely check out more about all the awesome things she's doing on the other side of the house on episode 1150 of the I Am CEO podcast. Armineh, super excited to have you back on. Are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you. This is a pleasure.
Yeah, it's definitely the pleasure is all ours. And I know in talking with you before, we had such an action-packed and value-packed episode. So I wanted to hear a little bit more on how you got started with, everything that you're doing now with the Evolution Dance Theater. So you can tell us a little bit more on how that got started.
Sure. I always loved dancing. And many years ago, I started taking Middle Eastern dances classes, belly dancing, Middle Eastern folkloric dances. I took classes. I also took jazz and modern, and I started performing. I'm born Christian and I was raised in a Muslim country in Middle East. So actually, performance in public is a taboo. Not many people know this, but that's the Middle Eastern people know this. And so everyone was asking, are you going to perform? And I'm saying no. And I'm taking all these classes because I loved dancing. And eventually I thought no culture or society can dictate what I can or cannot do. So I started performing. And alongside, I had my financial business. I was a financial consultant, a wealth manager by day, and a dancer at night and weekends. And it was fabulous. I wasn't doing it for money. I just loved the movement and the music. And eventually, when I was very creative, started writing stories. And since I was writing stories to portray messages of culture and empowerment, that's how I established the Evolution Dance Theater in 2006. That's the story.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you for leaning into that. I think so many times, I think we talked a little bit about that artistry piece. And so many times we feel like we have to choose to be one or the other. But I love how you were able to kind of, for lack of a better term, fuse both of those into all the awesome things you're doing. And I feel like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like they complement each other to some form, shape, or fashion.
Yes, you're right. You're right, Gresh, because the financial world is a very serious world. And dancing is a more creative, joyful world. Not that finances is not joyful. Everybody likes to have money. Everybody likes to be creative, and they like to increase their net worth. However, I really think it was very complementary, as you said, but very opposite of each other. And this way, we can use all of our resources, our emotional resources, physical resources, in order to live a more fulfilled life.
Absolutely. It's funny that you said that, because the word that was coming to my mind is like holistic, and being able to kind of not just say, okay, I'm this or I'm that, but the holistic, the wholeness of who we are and the wholeness of how we, make an impact in the world. And so I know I touched on it a little bit, when I read your bio, you did as well. Could you take us through a little bit more about Evolution Dance Theater and how you're making that impact for so many people?
Evolution Dance Theater strives to cross boundaries of gender and generations, and to bring in the cultural gap together. So we started as a Middle Eastern company. We're still a Middle Eastern based company, and the stories are Middle Eastern based. However, because we bring in different dance genres like jazz, modern, hip hop, even Brazilian, then we are able to expand the stories. And because it's more of human, emotional, and how can I express this? It's more of a human nature rather than just a Middle Eastern nature. So that's why everybody can relate. And the cultural fusion specifically, it's very important for me because I believe in having one human race. There's so many different attitudes, ideas, and even differences that people feel, oh, that's Middle East, that's here, that's there. Well, to me, is that we are all citizens of this world, and we gotta embrace each other. And our stories always reflect that. And that is how we are different from any other company, because normally companies are representing modern dance, belly dance, jazz, or folkloric of, let's say, Arabic or Armenian, or they're always, the cultures stay together. And the Evolution Dance Theater aims to bring the cultures together instead of just their own culture together. And that's why I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And that's why, I used the word, fusion earlier, because I think so many times, obviously you've been able to do that yourself, but I think being able to do that, in the business and the organization as well, too, is huge, because I think I talked about when I read your bio, focusing on the commonalities versus the differences. And I think when you start to really get into the human aspect of ourselves, whether we're talking about business or we're talking about life, and we're talking about dance or we're talking about basketball or whatever it is, you start to hear those stories and you start to realize that there is a fusion of like who we are, our experiences. Well, not quite the same. There's a lot of commonalities that bring us closer together than our apart. So I love that you've been able to kind of have that as, for lack of a better term, a foundational element in everything you've been building.
Yes, yes. It's exciting because there's a lot of separation happening right now. And even if you look at the Middle East, especially in North America, we're always thinking, oh, Middle East, there's always war, there's always politics. Yes, but I am not interested in the politics and the war or the religious aspects of that. What I'm interested as a human being is to show the Middle Eastern culture, which is based on a few thousand years of history, and how we can also embrace the other cultures together and make something beautiful. After all, it's arts. It's the world of arts, right? We're not into politics. But I do like to bring in social issues to the stage. For example, one of our last shows was Follow Your Heart. And it was about a modern Middle Eastern woman, Almaza, who is in love with a traditional man, Jivan. Their love was a taboo. They could not be together. However, other cultures came and interfered, and eventually they were together. And there was a lot of growth happening. And this was done through different genres of dances, fusion of dances, and the story. And the idea is that our main dancer, Almaza character, she was not of Middle Eastern descent whatsoever. And she said that she experienced exactly the same issue. And her boyfriend at the time was from a Latino background. And his mother was totally opposed to them getting married. And that was the reality. So if we go deep, we can see that there is so much commonalities between all of our cultures, all of our religions, and we are always fighting to be separate. No, we are one. That's what I'm here to share with the audience. Those are my views, and I hope that we can expand on those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such a beautiful point. And I love the artistry, the being able to kind of tell a story in order to kind of, I don't want to say submit, but I think almost, for lack of a better term, translate those values, that understanding. Because I think so many times the beauty for me of stories is that you get that opportunity to kind of sometimes hear those lessons, but hear it in a way that's a little bit more delicate and potentially, or a little bit more palatable, that we can kind of understand. You can, take it in, and we can, hopefully act upon it in our lives. So I love that you're using that as a medium to kind of talk about social issues, talk about differences, talk about multiculturalism, all of those aspects that sometimes we get kind of zipped up and scared to kind of talk about and have conversations around.
Yes, because the idea here, Evolution Dance Theater, aims to entertain, educate, and inspire. And so if we debate about a social issue, we might get into arguments. Whereas if it's shown in a very beautiful way, an artistic way, you can at least enjoy the show. Even if you don't agree with the story, let's say, or if you don't agree with what is said, at least you're watching a beautiful show, a beautiful costumes, haunting music, body movements. And so for me, it's a more subtle way of bringing everyone together. Even the cast We our last cast was from all over the world. We had from Brazil, Cuba, US, like in New York, California. We had from France. We had Middle Eastern people. It was just awesome. And so the artists also have an opportunity to work with different cultures. Like, let's say a modern dancer who's normally dancing with modern dance people, then now is learning something about Middle East or learning Middle Eastern movements. So it's expanding both emotionally and physically, in a sense that they're expanding their dance vocabulary.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I love that fusion aspect of how it's kind of manifests itself in your business and everything that you're doing to kind of make that impact and hopefully spark those conversations as well too, amongst, people that it might feel like we're different, but we're a lot more alike than ever. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. And this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something you feel like makes you more effective and efficient?
In Evolution Dance Theater,
Yeah, as an artist, especially.
as an artist, artists normally are very sensitive to energy, and they're very sensitive overall because they're always using their bodies. If they're dancers, if they're musicians, they hear every single beat. So they might be practicing an instrument at the moment, but they can hear all the conversation happening. So it's a very intense, let's say, and sensitive times when the artists are together. This is my experience. And so to be able to actually have 50, 80, 90, 100 people to work together, the energy has to match. For example, again, I have to bring examples to make my point. So Follow Your Heart, we had cast from all over the world. The people didn't know each other at all, but they felt like they were in a group because we put them in hotels and in different rooms and different houses. We rented different houses, and they couldn't get enough of each other. They loved each other so much. They practiced together. Then they had maybe dinner together afterwards. And so to be able to enjoy the process, the experience, and yet perform, that was very good. And the hacks for me, I can say I am fortunate. I think this is a God-given gift. Thank you. That I'm able to see energies. I literally see the patterns of energies, and I know who can match with whom. And I was able to cast not only based on their skills, their artistic skills, but based on their energies, if they would match. And that's why it was a success. We had 6 weeks of back-to-back rehearsals, actually in 2 different rehearsal studios. So for 6 weeks, we had 2 rehearsal studios happening at the same time. And the hack is that know who you're hiring, know who you are working with. Some people are more sensitive than others. Some people need more, let's say, guidance than others. Some people need more of something, whatever that may be. Pay attention to their needs and think of it as a family that has come together. It would be much more smoother. And everybody wanted to be there. Everybody worked for the overall of the show, not just so I can stand out or he can stand out or she can stand out. Everybody wanted the show to be a success. And hopefully we're going to work together again as that cast. But it was wonderful. It was great.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it was incredibly impactful in so many different ways. But I love that hack and being able to kind of understand like how to drill down and like you talk about energy and correct me if I'm wrong, energy is kind of everything. If we don't pay attention to it, then we're not paying attention to everything, and being able to kind of fit those people or those experiences, even those energies together, it's so necessary to pay attention to that and not just gloss over that. So I love that you've been able to do that and have that kind of that gift to be able to do that, and how it has manifested itself into your most recent kind of event.
Yeah, because emotions are running really high. It was a lot of stress, actually, for me as the executive producer and the artistic director. But I had rehearsal director, I had an associate director. So I had a team of people that I wasn't the only one in charge. I had a team of people who were in charge, and they could go to them if there was an issue or if there was a last minute change. And sometimes we had to make last minute changes. And it's really the same thing to have a team that you can rely on. It doesn't matter if it's a dance theater production or if it's a multi-billion-dollar business or even a small mom and pop shop. It's about people. We always relate to people. If they say, what business are you in? We can always say we're in people's business because it doesn't matter what we're offering, what product, what service, we're in people's business. If we can't get along with people or people don't trust us, there is no business, right?
I would definitely agree with that. And I say so many times we forget about that. I say human aspect, the people aspect, of business and what it is that we do. And I think so many times we can get caught in the kind of, I guess, functionality or the modality, maybe even a better word, of like what it is that we do. Oh, I do websites, or I'm a podcaster, or I'm, this, that, and the third, but we forget about that human aspect. And I think not only are we robbing ourselves and the opportunity to kind of create relationships and to interact, we're also robbing like the impact that we could truly have with our clients, with the people we serve, with audience, just so many different aspects to forget that. So I don't know if you would consider that to be like a nugget or something we could kind of take away, but it sounds like that's very impactful.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Armineh, now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. We're open to different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So especially from an artistry standpoint, like what does being a CEO mean to you?
To me, a CEO is the one who leads, who has the courage to charge ahead and takes leadership. Again, I think I may have mentioned this before. It's to be in charge, not to be in control. Because control, there's different connotations to that. I personally love to work in collaborations. So everybody, for example, in Follow Your Heart or in my productions, let's say we're talking about Evolution Dance Theater today, so I'll just refer to that. Everybody knew I was in charge. I'm the force behind the company. But there were other people in there. So there's collaboration, and they can go to the associate director or the rehearsal director. And if there was an issue, they can come to us. And I always gave everyone the ability to work things out within themselves. I think that is the best way to lead so that people are excited. To me, it's about participation. When you participate with the leader, the CEO, and everyone else, it sounds like you are in it for the good of all. And that's the bottom line. Because if you're trying to expand the company or you're trying to put on a nice show, it's for the good of all concerned. So everybody has to benefit somehow. Okay, so everybody did get paid, correct, but they have to benefit as well, emotionally, artistically. And that's what I think sometimes we may neglect, that money is not the only thing. What about your emotional well-being? What about your participation, that you say, I met new people from all over the world. I want to be in this show. I want to be in this company. It's the same thing. I hope that answers your question.
It definitely answers the question. I absolutely love that perspective. And especially because I think so many times, like I mentioned, we forget about that human aspect of business, but I love how it kind of ties in with where you talked about, making sure you're quote unquote matching energy, but you're paying attention to that so that you are, bringing those people in place. Because I think so many times being a leader, we can feel like it's having ownership, it's controlling, it's saying, do this my way or it's the highway. But in reality, if you have done quote unquote the work to really like pay attention to the human aspect of the people you're bringing together, making sure you have that strong mission, then it's not about leading in terms of like saying, do, as I say, but you just allow that opportunity for people to be leaders within their own right, to create, to kind of, break down walls and barriers in so many different ways. And you get to have a phenomenal, show from there.
Yes. You know why, Gresh? Because when everyone feels that they're part of something, they're participating because they believe in the cause of whatever sort, that is stronger. The group is stronger. Mm-hmm. For example, we have messages of empowerment, messages of cultural fusion. Everyone in the show could associate with that. Everyone in the show was excited to say, yes, I'm part of that. And that's also what makes it different. So in any business, if people feel they're part of it because there is a message, let's say you're offering beauty products, and you say, yeah, I want to make people look beautiful and I'm totally for it, then there's that passion and there's that cohesiveness and the group energy that makes it work as a company. if you're selling those products. As an artistic company, we are saying we are into women's empowerment, that we are equal. Like we try to close the gap of cultural interchange and also to cross boundaries of gender and generation. And so if you say this company is really about that, and I'm totally believing in the company, it's much easier to participate because you want to be part of that. And to me, that is important. And I tell everyone when I cast, these are my beliefs, this is what I want to do. And I'm hoping that you feel the same way and you want to share the same messages. And then we become a one big family.
Absolutely, absolutely. You get to row in the same direction, so to speak. But I think that those words, participation and collaboration that you mentioned and said so well, is something that really people can resonate with when they feel and believe and can kind of tie themselves even with their the stories that we have to that mission as well too. So Armineh, truly appreciate that definition. I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional that you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you, find about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Thank you. My message is follow your heart. I also named the show Follow Your Heart. I think I may have shared this with you last time. Follow your heart because it's based on my concept of 3D, which is desire, determination, and dedication. When you want something, anything, if you have a desire of 100%, then you want to do it. You're coming from a place of choice. Then you decide to do it. You're going to do it, not today, not someday, not next year, whenever you decide. So you decided you're going to do it. And the last part to that is dedication, which is your commitment. Challenges happen. There's no two ways about it. And you're dedicated to do it. And so my message is know your 3Ds and follow your heart. And if you like to know more about us, you can check our website, evolutiondancetheatre.com, evolutiondancetheatre, theatre.com. And my name is Armineh. You can also email us. And hopefully we can take our show to Vegas. Some people have, some producers have seen our show and they pitched it to Vegas. So we're hoping Follow Your Heart should be there very soon. Check us out, let us know. And if you'd like to participate as producers, as cast members, as audience, let us know how you feel and let us know how you relate to our messages.
I absolutely love that. And I appreciate that. We will, of course, have the links and information in the show notes as well. And I love how, you talked about that human aspect, the people aspect, the story aspect as well, too, and how those stories kind of take light on the stage and everything that you do. I think so many times we forget about that. And also, too, the fusion of obviously the worlds that we have, but also the aspects of our lives as well too, because I think so many times we can put things or believe things should be in silos, but understanding the fusion, the interconnectiveness of everything that we're doing and the people that we are is so huge. So I appreciate you so much for obviously preaching that, for telling us about that today too, and living and breathing that as well. So Armineh, I truly appreciate you again, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Well, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you. I really appreciate it.